The unusual signals first appeared on a Tuesday, small blips on radar screens at NASA's Deep Space Monitoring Station. At first, the technicians thought it was just space debris or a glitch in the system, but the signals kept coming, growing, stronger each day. Dr. Olivia Martinez stared at her computer screen, her dark eyes reflecting the dancing patterns of light. For 3 years, she had told anyone who would listen that aliens would contact Earth soon. Most of her colleagues had laughed. Now, as she analyzed the signal patterns, her hands trembled slightly. "This isn't random," she whispered to herself. The patterns repeated every 47 seconds exactly, with variations that couldn't be explained by any natural space phenomenon. She reached for her phone and dialed a number she had been given years ago, when the government first funded her research on potential alien communications. "This is Dr. Martinez. I need to speak with Commander Grant immediately. The signals, they're artificial." Commander Alan Grant was reviewing defense protocols when the call came through. At 45, his hair had more gray than brown, earned through years of naval service before being selected to lead Earth's space defense initiative. Most people thought his job was symbolic. After all, who was there to defend Earth from in space? "Martinez," he answered, recognizing the number. "What have you found?" As she explained her findings, Grant felt a chill run down his spine. The protocols he had been reviewing were no longer theoretical. He ended the call and immediately activated the emergency response team. Within hours, scientists around the world confirmed Dr. Martinez's analysis. The signals were coming from beyond Neptune, moving closer each day. World leaders were quietly informed. Military forces were put on standby. Yet publicly, nothing was said. The last thing they needed was panic. 6 days later, the source of the signals entered the solar system. Lieutenant Samuel Carter stood beside Commander Grant in the control room of Earth's Space Defense Headquarters, buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. On the main screen, they watched as the unidentified object bypassed the automated monitoring stations near Pluto without triggering any alarms. "They knew exactly where our sensors were," Carter said, his young face serious beneath his short, blonde hair. "That means they've been watching us." Grant nodded. "The question is for how long?" The alien ship approached Earth with deliberate slowness, as if giving them time to observe it. It was sleek and dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Estimates put it at roughly twice the size of Earth's largest aircraft carrier. "They want to talk," Dr. Martinez said, joining them in the control room. She had barely slept in days, her usual neat appearance now disheveled. "The signals have changed pattern. I believe they're waiting for us to respond." World leaders gathered virtually to discuss their options. Some wanted to show military strength. Others suggested peaceful greetings. In the end, they decided on a careful middle path. Earth sent back a simple mathematical sequence, the universal language, along with basic greetings in multiple human languages. The response came within minutes. The alien transmission appeared on screens worldwide, bypassing all security protocols. A being appeared, humanoid, but clearly not human. Its skin was pale blue, its eyes large and entirely black. When it spoke, its mouth moved wrong, like the words were painful to form. "People of Earth," the translation software rendered in text beneath the image. "We are the Zarthans. Your world has been chosen. Prepare for assessment." The message repeated 3 times. Before cutting off, "Chosen for what?" one of the world leaders asked in the silence that followed. Dr. Martinez was already analyzing the transmission. "The language they used. There are threats encoded in the syntax. References to cleansing and harvesting." Commander Grant turned to the assembled virtual faces of Earth's leadership. "We need to prepare for the worst. This isn't a friendly visit." The next day, a much larger ship appeared near Mars. Then another. And another. Within 48 hours, 18 massive vessels had positioned themselves throughout the solar system, with the largest taking position between Earth and the Moon. A new transmission arrived. The same blue being, but now surrounded by others in what appeared to be military attire. People of Earth, we have studied your civilization. You have reached minimal space capability but possess no meaningful defenses. The Zarthan Empire claims your world as our 19th conquest. Your options are simple: surrender and serve, or resist and face cleansing. They gave Earth 72 hours to decide. Behind closed doors, Earth prepared. Commander Grant activated defense, systems that had been hidden from public knowledge, built in secret by nations working together despite their differences. Dr. Martinez worked with linguists to craft a response that would buy them time. We need them to think we're scared and disorganized, Lieutenant Carter suggested during a strategy session. If they believe we're an easy target, they'll get careless. Earth's public response was exactly that. Messages from different countries, some pleading for peace, others threatening futile resistance. The chaos was carefully orchestrated. Meanwhile, underground bases activated worldwide. Weapons that had been developed in secret were distributed to special forces. Civilian engineers like Kelly Reeves were called up from their normal jobs to military installations. Kelly had been designing satellite components for a private company when men in uniform arrived at her door. 12 hours later, she was in a windowless lab, staring at pieces of technology she didn't recognize. We intercepted these from their scout ship, a military scientist told her. We need to understand their shielding technology before they attack. The Zarthans grew confident as they watched Earth's apparent disarray. Their commander, Krax, sent reports back to their homeworld that conquest would be swift. Humans were primitive, divided, and fearful. On the final day before the deadline, Earth sent its official response. President Gary Lloyd, appearing tired and defeated, addressed the alien vessels. On behalf of humanity, we request more time to prepare our world for transition. Our people are afraid. We ask for mercy. In the Zarthan command ship, Commander Krax watched the humans plea with satisfaction. Another easy victory. He had conquered worlds with defenses far superior to Earth's pitiful satellites and primitive rockets. Begin landing preparations, he ordered his troops. Standard conquest protocol. Establish ground control at these locations. He indicated several points on a map of Earth, mostly remote areas ideal for creating beachheads before moving to population centers. What Krax didn't know was that each location was surrounded by hidden bunkers, filled with soldiers and weapons waiting for the invaders to land. Earth's apparent weakness was its greatest deception. As the first Zarthan ships began their descent through Earth's atmosphere, Commander Grant stood in the control center, watching their approach on radar. Let them land, he ordered. Let them think they've won. Then we show them why no one who threatens Earth ever returns to tell about it. The first Zarthan ships landed in the Australian outback. They chose the location for its isolation, expecting minimal resistance. Their ships, 5 in total, created perfect circles of scorched earth as they touched down. Each was about the size of a football field, with smooth metallic surfaces that reflected the harsh sunlight. Kelly Reeves watched the landing from a hidden bunker 10 miles away. Through high-powered binoculars, she observed as the alien vessels opened and soldiers began to emerge. The Zarthans were tall, most around 7 feet, with the same blue skin their commander had shown in the transmissions. They wore armor that seemed to bend light around them. Their shields are active, Kelly said into her radio. Just like we thought. In the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Grant received reports of similar landings in the Siberian tundra, the Sahara Desert, a remote area of Brazil, and the Canadian wilderness, all locations far from major cities, all now surrounded by hidden Earth forces. They're following standard invasion protocol, Lieutenant Carter observed. Establish beachheads in remote areas, build up forces, then strike at population centers. Exactly what we would do. Which makes them predictable, Commander Grant replied. Admiral Powell, are your teams in position? Admiral Diane Powell's face appeared on the main screen. At 62, she had more combat experience than anyone else in Earth's combined defense forces. Her gray hair was cut short, her expression stern. All units ready, Commander. The Zarthans won't know what hit them. Captain Frank Morgan stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant, hidden on the far side of the moon. From the outside, the Defiant looked like a simple research vessel. Inside, it contained weapon systems that had never been made public. The ship had been built in secret by a coalition of nations designed specifically for space combat. Enemy ships maintaining position, his tactical officer reported. They're focused on their landing parties. They don't suspect we're here. Morgan nodded. Keep us dark. We move when Commander Grant gives the order. Back in Australia, the Zarthans had fully deployed. Nearly 300 soldiers now stood on Earth soil, setting up equipment around their ships. Their commander, a Zarthan named Vex, surveyed the landscape with contempt. Such a primitive world. His scanners showed no human settlements for miles. Perfect for establishing their first base. Begin perimeter expansion, Vex ordered. Standard sweep pattern. Zarthan soldiers moved outward from their ships in precise formation. Their weapons were raised, but they expected no resistance. Earth's militaries had shown no advanced technology during their observation period. Kelly Reeves watched the aliens through her binoculars. Next to her, the commanding officer of the Australian Special Forces Unit checked his watch. 3 minutes, he whispered. You're sure this will work? Kelly nodded, trying to look more confident than she felt. For the past 72 hours, she had worked with a team of engineers to adapt Earth weapons to penetrate the alien shields. The theory was sound, but they'd had no chance to test it. It has to work, she said simply. When the 3 minutes passed, a signal went out to all Earth forces surrounding the landing sites. The attack began simultaneously across the globe. In Australia, hidden panels in the ground slid open, revealing missile launchers. The first volley struck the Zarthan perimeter before they even realized they were under attack. Their shields flared bright blue, but the specially modified warheads passed through, detonating among the alien troops. Commander Vex staggered as explosions rocked the ground around him. Impossible, he shouted into his communicator. Their weapons are primitive. How are they penetrating our shields? Kelly's modification had worked. The missiles contained a frequency modulator that matched the exact pattern of the Zarthan shields, allowing them to slip through as if the shields weren't there. Similar attacks were happening at each landing site. Earth forces emerged from hidden bunkers, firing weapons that the aliens had never seen before. Weapons that had been kept secret from the public and even from most military personnel. In space, the USS Defiant powered up its engines and moved from behind the moon. Captain Morgan stood calmly as his vessel approached the much larger Zarthan. Warships. They're detecting us, his tactical officer reported. One ship is moving to intercept. Show them what we can do, Morgan ordered. The Defiant fired its main weapon, a concentrated beam of energy that cut through the Zarthan ship's shield like it wasn't there. The alien vessel split in two, secondary explosions rippling along its hull. In the Zarthan command ship, Commander Krax watched in shock as one of his vessels was destroyed by what had appeared to be a simple Earth research ship. At the same time, reports were coming in from all landing sites. Their forces were under heavy attack by weapons that shouldn't exist. How is this possible? He demanded of his science officer. Your report said they had no advanced technology. They hid it, the science officer replied, voice shaking. They wanted us to think they were weak. On Earth, Dr. Martinez worked with a team of analysts, intercepting and decoding Zarthan communications. Their language was complex, but patterns were emerging. They're calling for reinforcements, she told Commander Grant. They didn't expect resistance. Grant smiled grimly. Good. That was the plan. The battle in the Australian outback was fierce, but one-sided. The Zarthans, despite their advanced technology, were unprepared for Earth's hidden capabilities. Their formations broke as Special Forces soldiers attacked from multiple directions, using weapons specifically designed to counter alien technology. Commander Vex ordered his troops to retreat to their ships. We need to regroup, back to the vessels. But as they turned to flee, they discovered Earth forces had positioned themselves between the Zarthans and their ships. There was nowhere to run. In the command center, Lieutenant Carter watched the battles unfold on multiple screens. Sir, we're winning at all 5 landing sites. The Zarthans are surrendering. Commander Grant nodded. Phase 1 complete. But this is just the beginning. Cracks will not take this defeat lightly. In space, the USS Defiant had destroyed 2 more Zarthan ships before retreating to a defensive position near Earth. The remaining alien vessels were regrouping, clearly preparing for a larger assault. Admiral Powell's face appeared on the command center's main screen. "The prisoners are talking, Commander. They're in shock. Apparently no species has ever fought back successfully against their first wave." "Well, they picked the wrong planet to invade," Grant replied. "Humanity doesn't surrender easily." His command ship, Cracks, sent an urgent message to the Zarthan homeworld. What was supposed to be a simple conquest had turned into a disaster. He requested immediate reinforcements, not a routine request but a desperate plea. Earth wasn't what they had thought. Somehow, humans had developed technology in secret, technology that could defeat Zarthan shields. As night fell across the Australian outback, Kelly Reeves watched as Earth soldiers processed alien prisoners. The Zarthans looked confused, almost lost. They had never considered the possibility of defeat. One of them, an officer judging by his armor, looked directly at Kelly. "How?" he asked in broken English. "How did you know we were coming?" Kelly smiled. "We didn't. We've just been preparing for a very long time." The Zarthan officer shook his head slowly. "No one told us. No one warned us about Earth." Kelly's smile faded. "Warned you? What do you mean?" But the alien turned away, refusing to say more. Dr. Olivia Martinez stood before a cell containing the captured Zarthan scientist. His name was Vex, and unlike the other prisoners, he seemed more curious than afraid. The cell was in a secure facility beneath the Nevada desert, built years ago for a purpose no one ever expected to fulfill. "Why did you say no one warned you about Earth?" Dr. Martinez asked. She had been thinking about Kelly's report for days. Vex tilted his blue head, his black eyes blinking slowly. "There are stories, old stories, about ships that never returned." "Ships that came to Earth?" Vex nodded. "Long ago, before records, just stories ship mothers tell young ones." This information went straight to Commander Grant. Earth's forces were now on full offensive, but they needed every advantage. The Zarthans had responded to their initial defeat with fury, sending more ships to bombard Earth from orbit. Only, the previously hidden planetary defense systems kept the attacks at bay. Major Lisa Dawson led a team of 12 Special Forces soldiers, their faces painted black, their movements silent in the dark. They climbed the side of a mountain in what had once been known as Colorado, approaching a Zarthan ground base established 3 days ago. Unlike the first landing parties, these aliens had come prepared for Earth resistance. "Remember," Dawson whispered to her team, "we need access to their communications array. Dr. Ruiz needs 5 minutes with their systems." Dr. William Ruiz waited 10 miles away in a mobile command unit. At 36, he was the world's foremost expert in cryptography and had spent the last week studying Zarthan communication patterns. He believed he could send false orders to the alien fleet, but he needed direct access to their systems. Dawson's team wore special suits developed by Kelly Reeves and her engineering team, adaptive camouflage that bent light around them, making them nearly invisible. They reached the perimeter of the alien base undetected. The Zarthan base buzzed with activity. After their initial defeats, the aliens had changed tactics, establishing heavily fortified positions and launching attacks from them. This base controlled drone strikes against civilian targets in nearby cities. Dawson signaled her team. 2 soldiers moved forward, placing small devices on the shield generators protecting the base. The devices activated, creating a small dead zone in the shield. The team slipped through. Moving from shadow to shadow, they approached the central command structure. 2 Zarthan guards stood at the entrance, weapons ready. Dawson raised her hand, and her team froze, becoming nearly invisible in the darkness. One guard turned, sensing something. Dawson didn't hesitate. Her silenced weapon fired twice, and both guards fell without a sound. The team dragged the bodies into darkness and continued inside. The command center was their target. 3 Zarthans worked at control panels, Monitoring the base's operations, Dawson's team struck quickly, neutralizing them before they could raise an alarm. Dr. Ruiz's voice came through their earpieces. "I need access to the main communication terminal. It should have a pulsing blue light." One of Dawson's soldiers found it and plugged in a device Ruiz had designed. "You're connected, Doctor. 5 minutes starting now." In his command ship, Zarthan Commander Krax received new orders. The reinforcements he had requested were coming, but his superiors were not pleased with his failure. The conquest of Earth should have been simple. Now, it had become a costly war. His communications officer approached. "Commander, we are receiving tactical updates from Central Command." Krax reviewed the new orders. They were to pull back their forces, consolidating at 5 key points around the planet. The strategy made sense. Their forces were spread too thin, trying to fight on multiple fronts. "Send confirmation and distribute these orders to all forces," Krax commanded. He didn't know that the orders had not come from Zarthan Central Command. They had come from Dr. Ruiz, transmitted through the captured communication array. "General, Joseph Kennedy watched from Earth Central Command as Zarthan forces began pulling back from cities around the world, exactly as planned. They took the bait," he told Commander Grant. "Dr. Ruiz's false orders worked. They're consolidating their forces exactly where we want them." Grant nodded, his face serious. "Have Admiral Powell move the fleet into position. It's time for Captain Morgan to show what the Defiant can really do." In space, the USS Defiant approached a cluster of 3 Zarthan warships. The alien vessels were massive compared to the Earth ship, but Captain Morgan showed no fear. "All systems ready, Captain," his tactical officer reported. "Shields at maximum, weapons hot." Morgan touched a control on his chair. "Activate the Nova drive." The Defiant's engines glowed with blue-white energy, a power source that had been kept secret even from most of Earth's governments. The ship accelerated to speeds the Zarthans thought impossible for Earth technology, circling the alien vessels, faster than their weapons could track. The Defiant fired its main weapon repeatedly, cutting through Zarthan shields. One by one, the 3 warships exploded in silent bursts of fire and debris. On Earth, Kelly Reeves led a team of engineers adapting captured Zarthan technology. They had discovered the aliens' weapons were powered by a form of energy Earth scientists had theorized but never created, until now. "If we can integrate this power source with our existing systems," Kelly explained to Admiral Powell, "we can boost our shield strength by 300%. Powell nodded. "Do it. We'll need every advantage when their reinforcements arrive." Major Dawson's team, having completed their mission at the Colorado base, received new orders. They were to capture a Zarthan command officer alive. Intelligence suggested one was located at a forward base near what remained of Chicago. "We move at dawn," Dawson told her team. "This mission is priority 1. In his cell, Vex the Zarthan scientist continued to speak with Dr. Martinez. His information was proving invaluable. "Your world was marked," he said. "Long ago, in star charts. Do not approach." "Marked by whom?" Martinez asked. Vex made a strange gesture with his long fingers. "The old ones, those who came before us. They marked many worlds, some for resources, some for colonization." He paused. "Some with warnings, and Earth had a warning," Martinez said. "But your people ignored it." Vex nodded slowly. "We thought stories, just stories to frighten young ones." As night fell across the battle zones of Earth, the planet's defenders prepared for the next phase of the war. The false orders had worked, forcing the Zarthans to concentrate their forces where Earth could strike most effectively. Commander Grant studied the tactical displays showing enemy positions. "General Kennedy, begin Operation Thunderstrike at 400 hours. Major Dawson's team will provide the distraction we need." Kennedy nodded. "Yes, sir. The Zarthans won't know what hit them." In orbit, Captain Morgan received his new orders. The Defiant would target the Zarthan flagship directly, attempting to capture or kill Commander Krax. Without their leader, The alien forces would be thrown into confusion. As Morgan read his orders, proximity alarms blared on the Defiance bridge. "Captain," his sensor officer called out. Multiple objects emerging from faster-than-light travel, at least 20 vessels, much larger than anything we've seen before. Morgan's face hardened. "The reinforcements have arrived." The new Zarthan ships were unlike any the Earth forces had seen before. While the first wave had been dark and sleek, these vessels gleamed with golden light. They moved into position around Earth with perfect precision, creating a net that seemed impossible to break through. On the bridge of the USS Defiant, Captain Morgan watched with growing concern. "Get me Commander Grant," he ordered. "These aren't regular Zarthan warships." In the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Grant received the transmission from the Defiant. His face grew serious as he studied the images of the new alien vessels. "Those markings," Grant said, pointing to symbols on the lead ship. "Dr. Martinez, what do you make of these?" Dr. Martinez leaned forward, her eyes narrowed. "They don't match any Zarthan symbols we've seen before. They're older, much older." The largest of the golden ships transmitted a signal directly to Earth. Unlike previous Zarthan communications, this one bypassed all attempts to block it, appearing on screens worldwide. The being that appeared was not like the Zarthan's Earth had fought. It was taller, with skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Its eyes were not solid black but filled with what looked like stars. "I am Elder Toxis of the Galactic Council," the being spoke, its voice somehow understood by all, who heard it regardless of language. "The Zarthan Empire has violated ancient law by attacking this world." Commander Grant exchanged confused glances with General Kennedy and Admiral Powell. "What's happening?" Powell asked. "Is this some kind of trick?" Before anyone could answer, Agent Ryan Douglas burst into the command center. At 38, Douglas was Earth's top intelligence officer, responsible for interrogating captured Zarthans. "Sir," he addressed Grant, breathing hard as if he had run all the way. "You need to see this." He handed Grant a tablet displaying ancient symbols found in a captured Zarthan database. "We've translated part of it," Douglas explained. "Earth is listed in their oldest star charts as the Forbidden Zone. There are warnings dating back thousands of years not to approach this system." Dr. Martinez moved closer, studying the symbols. "These match the markings on those new ships, on Mayos and the main screen." Elder Toxis continued speaking. "We have contained the Zarthan forces. We request to speak with Earth leadership regarding this violation of quarantine." Secretary Linda Holt, Earth's chosen diplomat for alien contact, straightened her jacket nervously. At 56, she had decades of diplomatic experience, but nothing had prepared her for this. "Quarantine?" she asked. "What does that mean?" The answer came not from the alien on screen but from Vex, the captured Zarthan scientist who had been brought to the command center. "Earth was sealed off," Vex said softly. "Long ago. By those who came before. Those who survived." "Survived what?" Grant asked. "Contact with humans," Vex replied simply. Outside Earth's atmosphere, the golden ships surrounded the remaining Zarthan vessels. Beams of light connected the ships, creating a net of energy that immobilized the invading fleet. Commander Krax watched in disbelief from his flagship. The Council ships had arrived without warning, treating his conquest fleet like criminals. "This is outrageous," he shouted at the Council representative on his view screen. "Earth is an undeveloped world. We have rights of conquest under the expansion treaty." The Council member, a being similar to Elder Toxis, shook its head. "Earth was marked forbidden 10,000 cycles ago. The warnings were clear. You ignored them for conquest glory." On Earth, Secretary Holt prepared to respond to Elder Toxis. The world's leaders had quickly conferred and given her authority to speak for the planet. "This is Secretary Linda Holt representing Earth's United Governments," she began. "We request explanation for the term quarantine and why our world was designated as forbidden." Elder Toxis seemed to study her for a moment before responding. "Your world was placed under protection after multiple civilizations attempted contact and conquest. None returned. The Council determined that Earth harbored unique dangers. In the command center, Agent Douglas was piecing together more translated information from the Zarthan databases. According to these records, he told Commander Grant, at least 7 advanced species attempted to invade Earth before recorded human history. None of their ships ever reported back. Dr. Martinez looked up from her own analysis. But that's impossible. Humans didn't have technology to fight off alien invasions thousands of years ago. Maybe it wasn't our technology they feared, Grant said quietly. On the main screen, Secretary Holt continued her conversation with Elder Toxis. We have defended ourselves against the Zarthan invasion, she said. We request recognition as a sovereign world with rights to self-determination. Elder Toxis made a gesture with its long, color-shifting arms. The Council acknowledges Earth's successful defense. This is unexpected. No world under quarantine has ever repelled an attack of this scale before. Major Dawson and her team had completed their mission, capturing a high-ranking Zarthan officer from the Chicago base. As they transported him to headquarters, he kept repeating one phrase in his language. Dr. Ruiz, riding in the same transport, finally translated it. He's saying the Death World awakens. Dawson frowned. Death World? It's what they call Earth in their oldest texts, Ruiz explained. A world where invaders die. In orbit, the Council ships began to disable the Zarthan vessels one by one. Captain Morgan watched from the Defiant, keeping a safe distance. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from Elder Toxis's ship. They're requesting permission to send representatives to Earth. Morgan relayed the request to Commander Grant, who consulted with Secretary Holt and the world's leaders. Allow it, Grant finally ordered, but only a small delegation, and they land at our designated facility. 3 hours later, a small golden shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, landing at a military base in neutral Switzerland. Elder Toxis emerged, accompanied by 2 beings of different species, one insectoid with multiple limbs, the other appearing almost human except for its golden skin and 4 arms. Secretary Holt greeted them, accompanied by Commander Grant, Dr. Martinez, and Agent Douglas. Welcome to Earth, Holt said formally. We have many questions. Elder Toxis nodded. As do we. Your world has evolved faster than the Council predicted. Your technology is impressive. Why was Earth quarantined? Grant asked directly, skipping diplomacy. The insectoid council member clicked its mandibles before speaking in a voice that sounded like wind through leaves. Your world is unique in our known galaxy. The combination of extreme biodiversity with your species' particular traits created unpredictable outcomes. What traits? Dr. Martinez asked. Adaptability, Elder Toxis answered. Creativity, aggression. Most species specialize, become strong in one area but weak in others. Humans remain dangerously balanced. Agent Douglas stepped forward. The Zarthan officer we captured called Earth a death world. What does that mean? The golden-skinned, 4-armed council member spoke for the first time. It means that of all species who came to your world uninvited, none survived to leave. But that was before we had advanced technology, Holt said, confused. Elder Toxis's color-shifting skin rippled. Technology was never what made Earth dangerous. It was you, humans, your adaptability, your will to survive, your planet's countless ways to kill invaders. And now, the insectoid added, you have technology as well. 1 week after the arrival of the Council delegation, the world had changed forever. The remaining Zarthan forces had surrendered, their commander Krax brought to Earth to face judgment from both human leaders and the Galactic Council. President. Vanessa White stood before the United Nations Assembly in New York. At 58, she had led the United States through the invasion with remarkable calm. Now she addressed not just her own citizens, but all of humanity. Today, we step into a larger universe, she said, her voice steady. We have learned that we are not alone, that we have never been alone. But we have also learned something more important. Why we were left alone for so long. The session was being broadcast worldwide. In homes, schools, and public squares across the planet, people gathered to watch. The Galactic Council has shared their records with us, President White continued. Earth was placed under a quarantine 10,000 years ago, not to protect us from the galaxy, but to protect the galaxy from us. In a secure room beneath the UN building, Commander Grant watched the broadcast with Elder Toxis and the other council representatives. Dr. Martinez sat nearby, still analyzing the wealth of information the aliens had provided. Your president speaks well, Elder Toxis observed, its skin shifting to a calm blue. Not all species would accept such truth with dignity. On the screen, President White explained what the council had revealed. Long before recorded human history, multiple alien civilizations had attempted to conquer Earth. Some came for resources, others for colonization. None succeeded. It wasn't our technology that defeated them, she explained to the watching world. It was our planet itself. Our diseases, our diverse ecosystems, our gravity, our atmosphere, and most of all, it was us, humans. Our ancestors fought back with whatever they had. They adapted. They survived. The Insectoid Council member, whose name was untranslatable but whom the humans called Ambassador Zir, clicked its mandibles, thoughtfully. Your species learns faster than any we have encountered, Zir said to Grant. In the past week, your engineers have already begun adapting our universal translator technology. Grant nodded. Kelly Reeves leads a team that never sleeps. They're integrating Zarthan shield technology with our defense systems, too. The four-armed, golden-skinned council member, who called herself Mira, leaned forward. This is precisely why the quarantine was established. Your species adapts too quickly. What takes others centuries, you accomplish in years. In Australia, Major Dawson supervised the dismantling of a Zarthan base. The aliens worked alongside human engineers, following the terms of their surrender. One of them, an officer named Lox, approached her cautiously. I wish to understand, Lox said in halting English. How did your people defeat our first wave so easily? Dawson considered her answer carefully. We prepared. Even when we didn't know what we were preparing for, we prepared. Lox tilted his blue head. No other species does this. They prepare only for known threats. Humans always imagine the worst, Dawson replied with a small smile. Then we build weapons for it. Back at the United Nations, President White was concluding her address. The Galactic Council has lifted the quarantine on Earth. We are now recognized as a sovereign world with rights to self-determination and space travel beyond our solar system. But with this freedom comes responsibility. Dr. Martinez had been unusually quiet during the council meetings. Now she turned to Elder Toxis with a question that had been bothering her. If Earth was under quarantine, how did the Zarthons find us? Why did they attack if we were forbidden? Elder Toxis's skin rippled with dark patterns, a sign of displeasure they had learned. The Zarthan Empire has grown arrogant. They believed the ancient warnings were superstition. They sought to expand their territory and ignored council law. They will be punished, Mira added. Their conquest rights have been revoked. Their empire will be reduced. On the screen, President White finished her speech to thunderous applause. Today, humanity stands united as we never have before. We faced extinction and survived. We discovered our place in the galaxy and found it is not a small one. The stars await us not as conquerors but as equals among the cosmic community. 3 days later, Commander Grant stood on the observation deck of the USS Defiant, watching Earth from orbit. Dr. Martinez joined him, her tablet filled with notes from her meetings with the council scientists. They're afraid of us, she said, without preamble. Not just respectful, actually afraid, Grant nodded. I've noticed. The question is, should we be concerned about that? Martinez sighed. They showed me their simulations. In every scenario where humans gain access to advanced space travel, we spread to hundreds of worlds within a century. In 300 years, we dominate the galaxy. And that's bad? It's unprecedented. No other species expands so quickly. Even the Zarthans took thousands of years to build their empire of 19 worlds. Captain Morgan entered the observation deck, interrupting their conversation. The council flagship is signaling they're ready to depart. In Switzerland, Secretary Holt oversaw the final meeting with the council delegation. Elder Toxis presented her with a data crystal. Star charts, Toxis explained. Friendly worlds, dangerous areas, trade routes. We offer this in friendship and hope. Holt accepted the crystal with appropriate gravity. And what does the council hope for in return? Caution, Ambassador Zier answered. Your species has great potential, both to create and to destroy. We were wrong to fear you without knowing you, Mira added. Do not make the same mistake as you venture into the stars. As the Golden Council ships prepared to depart Earth's orbit, Agent Douglas made a final report to the world's leaders. The Zarthan databases confirm it, he said. 7 different species attempted invasion or colonization of Earth before recorded history. All their ships were destroyed or captured. Some by disease, some by environment, some by our ancestors. And none ever returned to warn others, President White mused. So we became the planet no one returns from. A death world, General Kennedy added. But now we're a death world with spaceships. Commander Grant smiled slightly. I think we need to be careful about our image in galactic society. 1 month after the Zarthan invasion, the first human diplomatic vessel prepared to depart for EC, the Galactic Council headquarters. Commander Grant had been selected as Earth's ambassador, with Dr. Martinez as his scientific advisor. As the ship lifted off from the newly built spaceport in Tanzania, Grant looked back at the blue-green planet. Below, do you think we're ready for this? Martinez asked, standing beside him at the viewport. No, Grant replied honestly, but I don't think the galaxy is ready for us either. On distant worlds across the galaxy, news spread quickly. The quarantine on Earth had been lifted. The death world had awakened. The species no one returned from had gained the stars. And in quiet corners of alien bars and trading posts, a new saying began to spread. Be kind to humans. They remember both friends and enemies, and they're coming to visit. Soon.